This is our 500 square foot off-grid silo home. This was a grain bin that was used to store grain at one time, and we turned it into a home. So David and I built the silo ourselves. In fact, that's what we tend to do, is build and live in our spaces and then move on to a new project. And this was just one of the projects that we took on over the years. We lived in the silo for 4 years, and one of the things I love most about living in the round is just how cozy it feels, and how it's like getting a big hug from your home. It's not big, but it is very cozy. So we purchased a disassembled grain bin and put it on our trailer, brought it home, and then started to put the pieces together, separated the roof pieces from the wall pieces, and then assembled it onto our concrete pad here in location. So our foundation is a large concrete pad on a bed of compacted gravel. We insulated that concrete pad, and we put the pipes in for the hydronic heat, and then poured another concrete pad on top of it. With some help from some friends, we started first with a couple of the rings, and then once we got 2 or 3 rings up, we added the roof. And once the roof was in place, then we just jacked up each ring and added another ring to the bottom. Once we had the grain bin built, we framed it with regular traditional stick framing, and we connected the exterior to the stick framing with spray foam insulation. So the whole thing becomes one rigid structure, and it all supports itself, you know, working together that way. So the grain bin is 19 feet in diameter, and it's 20 feet high. We're currently in our mudroom, a little bit of a buffer as you come in, and especially in the cold. We found after living in the space that, you know, winter coats, boots started taking up a little too much space within the main house, and it made sense to add a little extra space out here for all that stuff. We have space for coats, cleaning supplies, and a bench for getting your shoes on, get your boots on. And it's just a nice area to keep things tidier. When you're living tiny, sometimes you need that storage space. From the mudroom, we lead into our main living space. This is a multi-use space, so we have our living room, our dining room, our kitchen, and the stairs leading up to the bedroom space. And this is where we would spend most of our time at home. We were trying to keep it as simple as possible. We didn't want to make the space too cluttered or overworked. Everything that we've chosen had to make it around the circle, right? So we knew that keeping the vertical tongue and groove would allow us to go around in the circle, and the rope for the trim, anything that would allow us to finish it off in the circle. All of our choices have been fairly industrial, and there's been a lot of pieces that we've reclaimed. So this is our kitchen area, and this is where meal prep and eating would happen. So we have our main cabinetry here. One of the things about building in the round, especially when it comes to kitchen cupboards. So a normal kitchen countertop would be 25 inches, right? And we could not take up that much space. So we sourced cabinets that weren't as deep, and it allowed us to keep everything tucked in nice and tight. So the countertops, we used concrete, and we made each section to fit perfectly, and we painted up some of the corrugated silo material to use in here for our backsplash. So when we first built the silo, we had a propane 4-burner stove with a small oven, and We decided to eliminate that, and now we have a small induction top, just a portable induction top. We have a dug well on the property. We're fortunate it has a sufficient amount of water for the fridge. We did consider propane, but we'd heard from different sources that there could be issues with the propane, and so we decided to take a chance on the electric, and it doesn't actually use as much power as we feared it would, and it was a great choice for us. So we just decided to use as much of our space as possible underneath the stairs to create storage for all of our kitchen needs. This is our dining area. We wanted to have a simple eating area, but we also wanted to make it so that we could move it around, put some extra stools around if we've got the kids home and having a meal together. David and I just made this ourselves. That way we could have the size and the shape we wanted. So this is our living space. The nice thing about this space is that it's fairly convertible. We can move the chairs into different areas, but this is where we sit to look outside, play games, read a little bit. We have a lovely local antique store, and this antique sofa came from there. The funny thing is that it's covered with antique grain sacks. So these would have been the bags that grain would have been taken to market in. So it seemed fitting to bring it into the silo. We made the choice to bring in recliners. We tried having a couch in here. It wasn't quite as comfortable as we thought. So when we were watching TV in the space, then we could recline. The ceiling is literally just plywood cut into pie shapes, and we just decided to follow that round again, and this sun shape kind of came together. The fan just helps to move a little bit of air around. It's not going to keep you cool in the summer, but it just helps to move things around a little bit in here. One of the things, of course, about the silo initially was that there were no openings, and my biggest concern was that we wouldn't have enough sunlight. So we made sure to put in the largest door possible to both take in the view and grab some passive solar gain from the sun. This floor is heated with hydronic heat. So we have warm water running through the floor in the wintertime, and when your feet are warm, it's really quite lovely. The floor and all the domestic hot water is heated with a propane instant hot water heater. We actually wanted to make sure that as much heat would go up from the main floor where the heat is upstairs. So we found a grate that was an outside porch, I guess, off of a building, and we knew it would be structurally sound enough to walk on. And it also allows some of the light to travel between the two levels as well. We wanted the stairs to follow the contour of the silo. So we went to our local sawmill and picked up a great big beam that David cut down to build the stairs in place. We love their bulk and their warmth, and it doesn't take away from the living space. It was a little challenging to come up with a solution that would work, but yeah, we love these stairs. So at the top of the stairs, you come immediately into the bedroom, and behind this wall is our bathroom. So we have a shower, a small toilet, and our vanity. And a small closet in here for clothing and towels. We decided to reuse some of the cedar that we had to cut down in order to get our driveway into the property, and so we just sliced up the cedar into tiles and then laid them down on the floor, filled the spaces between each with a mixture of glue and sawdust, and then urethanes the whole thing for a nice finish. Our toilet is actually an RV toilet. It's a low flow toilet, so it's not using a lot of water, and it goes out to a tank that is pumped on a regular basis. We have a rain shower head and a little niche for all of the supplies in the shower, and a little bench. And we simply used some tumbled stone on the floor. It's nice and warm after a shower. So of course, one of the most important things when you're living tiny is to make sure you have enough storage. So we framed this wall so that we would be able to utilize the space between the studs, and created some shelving for bathroom storage. A lot of people will be familiar with our AC unit. It's just a mini split that we are fortunate enough to use in the summer when the sun's shining. There's lots of power, so we can run the AC, and it helps to cool the tin can in the summertime. So this is a queen size bed, trying to keep, you know, as much space as possible so it doesn't feel too cluttered in here. We created some storage under the bed, keep all of our clothing in, and allow for some hidden storage in the space. We have a small dresser along with the closet for clothing storage. So again, when it comes to the silo, we wanted unique lighting. So David made us some sconces to put inside the bed, and the fan over the bed helps a lot in the summertime just to keep air moving in here. Once the windows are open at night and the fan's on, it's lovely up here. Cools down nice and quickly. The ceiling was a bit of a challenge. Again, we weren't sure how we were going to clad it. We had some tongue and groove left, and being the recyclers that we are, we used the scraps from the walls to clad the ceiling. A grain bin always had a hatch on top, and David used a sun tunnel from a previous project to create a window, an oculus over the silo, and it just casts a lovely light up here. Waking up in this space to this ceiling is probably one of my favorite parts about the silo. We've hung my artwork in the space, so all the pieces are from different periods of time when I've been creating with different mediums. Some watercolors, some acrylics, some encaustics. Outside, attached to the silo, we have a solar shed that's insulated. We keep our hot water tank, our batteries, our water pump, and everything that helps to run the systems in the solar shed. We have 4 kilowatts of solar panels, and those panels charge 8 batteries that give us about 16 kilowatts of battery power. And so we use the power directly from the sun during the day, but at night, in the evenings, or on a cloudy day, then we're using battery power. And that's when you tend to be a little more careful with your usage. One of the things we learned very quickly is that November is the grayest month, the month where you will produce the least amount of power, and so that's when we end up having to use our generator to top up the batteries. We lived in the silo for 4 years and then managed to move on again, because we do that a lot. We're always building and moving and trying something new. So we have put the silo on Airbnb in the meantime. We figured, why not let more people experience off-grid living, and even for a short period of time they get an idea of what it's like. I think that's what I like most about sharing the space, is that people are able to ask those questions and become more familiar with off-grid living. And we have people that come from all over that enjoy spending time in the silo. I think most people say that it's a nice, relaxing, peaceful space, and I love that for people.
Subscribe to Exploring Alternatives for more videos like this. Also, if you want to visit or find out more about the silo, we'll put the link in the description below. Thanks for watching.